How's everyone doing? Welcome back once again. Share you some more items from my collection. So we'll start out with the middle one, which is the Super Magicom. Super Magicom has absolutely no floppy drive built into it, and it has no removable cartridge, so you can't use it with the DSP. It is a 16 megabit system, not megabytes, but megabits. Look it up. And on the back, it has two ports. One is for a floppy disk, external floppy disk, and the other one is for a COM IO parallel port. It does not use a standard parallel cable. It uses a straight through cable used on like KVM switches and the like from that era. From what I've been told, you cannot just connect a parallel port floppy drive to this. It uses a drive with just straight wiring to the unit, and apparently the floppy drive controller is inside the unit. I don't know if that's true, but I'll have to take a look on the inside. I have not been able to get the floppy drive for this, unfortunately. Let's look at the next unit here, which is also from Super Magic Drive. This is a Mega Drive Sega Genesis copier. It's 16 megabit. As you can see, for some reason all the pirates were worried about the appropriate color scheme, and they had the deep maroon color that was found on the Sega Master System converter. This one does come in smaller sizes, 8 megabit. Actually 16 megabits, sort of unusual to find. Unfortunately, it does have this white speckling on it, which is from paint. So someone had this on the floor of their house, painted their wall with a paint roller, and got paint splatter all over it. So I'm guessing that this wasn't really held in very high regard at the end of its life. But if you scratch with your finger, the little white paint flecks come off. I have an awful lot of work to do to get this thing looking good again, but I'm very interested in trying to get it to work. It uses the same double I/O panel, which is the disk I/O for the disk drive, which can be used with the other Super Magic Drive, and it has the COM IO. You can connect this to a Windows XP or previous PC with a direct access to the parallel port, and send games to it using, I believe, Yukon. I haven't tried it out yet. The next copier I have up here is the Multi-Game Hunter. I have a different Multi-Game Hunter, and I had hoped to get a second one for parts. And I did get this one here off of eBay for a very cheap price. I think I paid like $15 or $10 for it, because it doesn't have the cartridge adapter, and no one knew what it was. So Multi-Game Hunter works with Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, and on the bottom it has two interfaces for extension for edge connectors for Super Famicom, Super Nintendo, and Sega Genesis Mega Drive, and it does require external power on here. So this is the base unit here, and then here is the actual brains of the unit, which is smart because the previous copiers, they would have to make a whole new board every time bigger games came out. So 8 megabit, 16 megabit, 32, 64. You have to make a whole new board. It's very tedious. With this, they just made one base package. Let's say you got 8 megabit, you want to put in 32 megabit, get the 32 megabit, bump it in there. Very easy for the manufacturer to just upgrade just the smaller board and have the base units. It also allows you to send the unit in for factory upgrading. As you can see, it has a floppy drive and the pin connector on the bottom for connecting to the base unit. And all these devices from that era are ROM emulators, hardware ROM emulators, and they would emulate the ROMs and the mappings as needed for each system. This one is a lot more advanced than the Super Magicom, as they can do both systems. And I do have to order the edge connectors for this, and also for all these copiers, they do all have a well, almost all game copiers have a NiCad battery attached to the motherboard for saves, and those do dissolve and eat the traces out. What will happen is the acid will run down the legs into the board, and it will creep along the metal and bubble up the metal as it corrodes it and destroy the board, you will have to clip the battery out, scrape away the corrosion until you get fresh, clean copper, and then do jumper wires to the appropriate points to fix these machines. So I actually happen to have, believe it or not, a Super Magicom box, and you can take a look here on the Super Magicom box. You can see the floppy drive, external floppy drive, and the unit, and how it's supposed to work. And actually, there's a different copier completely in here. I got this from someone, and they had a Super Magicom box, but inside was a Super Wild Card. So go figure. So now somehow I have the correct Super Magicom and the correct Super Magicom box. So figure that out. This was made by CCL. I forget what the name. China Coach Limited, which made a lot of great products. And while we're at it, we'll take a look at the Super Wild Card here. This is only a 16 megabit version, which means it doesn't do a whole lot. Amazingly, it still has the flip-up part, which breaks off all the time. Most of the time, people would just pull these out of the way and throw them away because they got in the way. This one requires no power at all. It just gets power through the cartridge slot from the Super Nintendo, and it does connect very easily to a PC, and you can use the Yukon and all those utilities to transfer stuff to it. This one is from Taiwan. So there you go, my most recent additions to my game copier collection. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and see you next time.